All right. Hello, everyone. Just give me a few more minutes to make sure you can see me, you can hear me, everything's working well. If you can actually see me and hear me, just give me a hi, give me a thumbs up so I know I'm here, I'm all on. All right, awesome. Sounds like it's working. So yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the last session of the Belly Baby Mom 1 Week Awareness Week in order to celebrate the World Prematurity Awareness Day, which was actually on November 17th, so like 2 days ago. We host this series of talks and interviews just to create awareness about preterm birth and all the related concerns and worries the families and parents of a preterm baby actually have. So we're happy to be supported by Small and Mighty Babies, which is an initiative here in the UAE supporting moms, parents of preterm babies all the way through their journey, and also to be supported by Pigeon Arabia, which is a brand loved by parents and created by experts with a lot of products from maternity to early childcare. Today's topic of this talk is going to be everything about breastfeeding a premature baby. But before we start, I just want to introduce myself so you know who's talking today. I'm Lydia from Becoming Family and part of the Belly Baby Mom Collective. I'm a mom of a 1-year-old toddler. She's 14 months old, and also I'm expecting my second one next year in March. I'm a childbirth educator and baby massage instructor, as well as a pediatric nurse and lactation consultant. So I've been working for many years in the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU, and also a special care baby unit. So I just really want to talk about my experiences today as well. I want to let you know how I experienced the breastfeeding journeys of many, many families in the hospital I've been supporting. And we actually supported all the babies and families born as early as 24 weeks of pregnancy. So yeah, if you're watching today, just let me know if you've had a premature baby yourself, if you had any positive support, if you were actually lacking the support, maybe here in the UAE or maybe somewhere else, just send me a message. I'll go through them and I will reply throughout the session to them as well. Otherwise, I just think before we start about breastfeeding and talking about breastfeeding, I'd like to draw a little picture about what it actually means to have a premature baby, because if you've never had any contact with premature babies, it's quite difficult to imagine what it actually means having a preterm baby, what it looks like, and how it may actually affect your daily life, your daily routine. So just imagine you're 25 weeks pregnant right now and you're going to a routine doctor's appointment. You don't expect anything to happen, but for some reason there's your doctor's telling you, due to medical reasons, we actually have to get the baby out as soon as possible. So they don't even let you go home again. They're going to send you directly to the hospital and the baby's going to be delivered within a couple of hours after your doctor's appointment. So try to imagine how your personal life looks like at this moment. You were 25 weeks pregnant, means, well, if it's your first pregnancy, you may only started showing that you were actually pregnant. Your bum was just starting to grow, and it was only obvious for a couple of days or even weeks for other people that you were pregnant. You might have just started thinking about setting up a nursery or buying baby stuff like a stroller, a baby crib, even clothes and everything. Maybe you didn't even find out about baby's gender yet, or you didn't decide on a name. So how is your personal situation in this moment? From these just pregnancy thoughts, pregnancy things to do, you're actually put into a very, very stressful and very full and unexpected situation straight away. So you're facing a very tiny and fragile baby, which is going to be attached to a lot of tubes, a lot of monitors. And if you imagine a full-term baby, about like 52 centimeters, a baby born at 25 weeks is only the size of, well, a ruler, about 33 centimeters, for example, and about 800 grams. And even this is just really, really difficult to imagine. So today I brought actually a little doll of my daughter, which is about 30 centimeters long. So kind of what a baby after 25 weeks of gestation look like. And you can see it's just really, really tiny, and the head will already only fit in my palm. The feet are very tiny, the hands, so you can kind of relate. This is a 25-week premature baby. And I'm pretty sure one of the main concerns you have is actually, will my baby survive? Will my baby be healthy? And it's quite common to start blaming yourself. Like, you ask questions, did I do something wrong? What did I do to actually cause the preterm birth? Did I not pay enough attention about my diet? Did I not do sports? What was wrong? Did I travel too much? All these kind of things, they're just gonna come up your mind naturally. And everything you imagined about giving birth, maybe you imagined or visioned a water birth and your baby placed skin to skin onto your chest directly after birth. You may have imagined taking your baby home to see all the siblings the day after birth. All these kind of things, they're just gone. They're destroyed within a few seconds, a few minutes. And you're actually separated from your baby. So it's a whole different story than having a full-term baby delivered. And the moment you're going to see your baby for the first time is delayed. So for some moms, it's delayed only a couple of hours. For others, it might already be a couple of days until they're going to see their baby for the first time. And then, as I said, it's attached to so many tubes, monitors, breathing assistances. It's going to be placed in an incubator. So there's kind of a huge barrier to actually reach the baby, to touch the baby and just talk to the baby. And if you just imagine this as a whole situation for yourself, for your own baby, then I'm pretty sure that thinking about breastfeeding is one of the last things coming up your mind. And in my experience of working in the NICU, I just noticed that a lot of parents, a lot of moms, they just feel helpless because they feel like they can't do anything. They just see the hospital staff bursting around, taking care of the baby, and they feel like, I can't even touch my baby. I can't even change a diaper. So what am I supposed to do then? And I noticed that a lot of parents, they just feel they're not important. And this is basically just wrong, because you as parents, you as mom and dad, you're hugely important. Your baby knows your voice, your baby knows your smell, and it's also responding in a very, very different way to your touch than it would to anyone else's. So I can say it as medical staff, we can take care of all the medical part, but we cannot replace mom and dad. So it's just really, really important for you to be as close to the baby as possible. And maybe you've heard Premature talking about early skin to skin and all the benefits of this. And this also applies to premature birth, actually. So research shows that the heart rate, the breathing pattern, the temperature, everything is going to be much more stable if the baby, even the premature baby, the 25-week-old, is placed skin to skin on your chest, other than laying in an incubator. And for you as a mom, it's also got the benefit that it's kind of boosting all your hormones in your body, and as well the important hormones oxytocin and prolactin, which are really important for initiating and continuing the whole breastfeeding experience. So yeah, this is kind of the starting setup, the starting picture I wanted to draw. And if we're now going to go back to our 25-week-old baby and think about breastfeeding, which questions come up your mind? I don't know. Do you have any experience in breastfeeding a premature baby or feeding a premature baby? Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any experiences. Just drop me a comment. Otherwise, I've gathered a couple of questions which may come up your mind or anyone's mind. So, for example, you could ask yourself, am I actually able to produce milk long before I was actually due to give birth? Another question could be, can my baby drink? How is it going to be fed? How much milk would my baby drink? How much milk would my baby need at this time? And then is formula maybe better because we can just put all the ingredients into it which are necessary for a baby at this age. So now I just want to go through all these questions and tell you a little bit more about the answers and how you can about the answers. So the first one was, am I able to produce milk long before term? That's actually an interesting one because a lot of moms, they actually think only when baby's full term they're going to start producing milk, and even then it may take a couple of days until the milk comes in. But I want you to know that the milk ducts, the tiny little ducts in your breast, they already started growing as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. The whole breast tissue started to prepare for the future job of nursing your baby as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. And maybe you experienced this as well. A lot of moms, they just notice that they're pregnant simply because their breasts, they're like very tender, very sensitive, or at least more sensitive than they usually are. And this is simply because they're already getting ready for their future job to feed the baby. They're already getting ready to start producing the milk in a few weeks. And then the proper milk production, or the production of the colostrum, which is the first milk the body's producing for the baby, this starts already as early as 16 weeks into pregnancy. And I think this is really amazing if you think about a full-term baby usually born around 40 weeks, and not even halfway through your body's already producing the milk to feed the baby. So once it's produced, it's just going to be stored in your breasts, and it will be stored until your baby's born. So usually it will be stored all the way through around 40 weeks when your baby's full term, just to be removed from the breast and fed to the baby when baby latches after birth. So this just means that if your baby's born prematurely at 24 weeks, 26 weeks, 30 weeks, 34 weeks, it's already there as well. And it just needs to be removed. It just needs to, it needs to be given to the baby. And this just needs a little more support simply because the baby is not latching directly, at least when it's born at 25 weeks in our example. So I think this is just really amazing. So you can trust your body that the milk is already there, and you don't have to worry that you're not going to be able to feed your baby just because you gave birth long before the due date. And another thing which is really, really interesting of Mother Nature is that the consistency or the composition of breast milk actually varies between a preterm mom and a full-term mom. So your body kind of knows that baby's born too early and it needs some special nutrients, some more protein, for example, than a full-term baby just to survive and to grow and thrive better. So your body is just adjusting the breast milk accordingly. And I think this is really, really amazing. Yeah, I think just really worth trusting in yourself, trusting in your body. Okay. Okay, no experience. Then the other question was, can my baby actually drink? So if we're going to go back to our 25-week-old baby, which is attached to lots and lots of tubes, breathing support, monitors, I can just tell you it's not going to be able to drink directly, simply because it's lacking a lot of exercise, a lot of practice throughout the second and the third trimester in pregnancy, where babies are usually just sucking their thumb, drinking and swallowing some of the amniotic fluid just to keep practicing. It's hard work for a baby, even for a newborn baby, to coordinate the whole sucking, swallowing, breathing pattern. So it took them a long time, many, many weeks throughout the pregnancy to practice at least the sucking and the swallowing. And if your baby's born prematurely, like our little one here at 25 weeks, it's just missing all these practices in so many weeks. So as neonatal nurses, as doctors, we just have to make sure, and as parents, that our babies are practicing while they are already here, while they're already earthside. So there's different ways to actually practice with your baby, to introduce the flavor of breast milk, to help them do some sucking training, many, many different ways. And I think it's just a bit beyond today's session if I'm going to go into too much detail right now. But there's many ways for them to train and to learn how to suck, and then later on how to swallow actually. And yeah, when they're a bit more mature, a bit older, and if they're off the breathing support, then it's usually a very good time to start with proper drinking. Until then, they usually have a nasogastric tube, which is through the nose all the way into the stomach, and it's feeding baby directly. So baby don't have to put in any effort in drinking itself. Okay, the other question which may come up our mind is how much milk will my baby actually drink? And I've done a couple of prenatal breastfeeding classes with parents, and it's always quite surprising, or for the parents it's always quite surprising if I tell them a newborn stomach is actually really, really tiny. And I've got a little example. This little ball, kind of, here we go, shows the size of a newborn stomach. So the capacity is only around 3 to 5 or maybe 6 ml on the first day of a full-term baby stomach. So you can imagine, if this is a full-term baby stomach, how tiny is the stomach of this little one born at 25 weeks. And I can tell you, the first feeds of these little ones may only contain half a milliliter or maybe 1 milliliter until baby grows, until the stomach capacity actually adjusts and grows as well. So they start drinking or having only very, very tiny amounts of milk. And yeah, so the other question was, is formula maybe going to be better because we can change the composition and we can add stuff which is more beneficial for the baby? And as for now, there's a clear no to this, simply because breast milk just contains a lot of living cells, a lot of antibodies, a lot of immune factors, just a lot of very, very beneficial things, which are already very beneficial for a full-term newborn baby, and even more beneficial for a premature baby. And these components, they just cannot be man-made right now. So it's always best to just feed breast milk other than formula. And this also is because premature baby has a very, very sensitive and immature digestive system. And the breast milk actually avoids a lot of very serious infections and illnesses in the whole digestive tract. And the importance actually is shown worldwide, because a lot of hospitals, a lot of countries worldwide, they're even gonna provide donor milk for premature babies if the mom for some reason is not able to express or is not able to provide milk at this moment. So yeah, and okay, I think these were the questions coming up, or which may come up our mind if we think about breastfeeding as early as 25 weeks. So then the next one could be, how do I actually provide the milk to my baby if it's not feeding directly off the breast? So in the beginning, since you're separated from your baby, you actually have to start hand expressing, or then later on pumping once the volume increases of the milk. And I know I mentioned it so many times before that, especially in this very surprising situation of having a baby born prematurely, you're not thinking about pumping and feeding the baby, but it's still very important to start as early and as frequent as possible, simply because otherwise the body thinks baby doesn't need any milk, so it's slowing down the production. And this is something we definitely want to avoid, as it's like so hugely important for a premature baby to receive breast milk. So what happens? You just hand express the colostrum because it's very sticky. It's just these tiny little amounts. They would get lost in any pumping system. So it's just best to hand express and to collect it with a syringe. And then you can just hand over the syringes, or later on the tiny bottles, to the hospital staff, and they will give it to the baby through the nasogastric tube. And they may also going to use some of the breast milk drops to just introduce the flavor of breast milk to the baby. They're going to put it on cotton buds, put it in baby's mouth so they can already taste the flavor. They can already start sucking, or practice sucking. And then later on, you can just like increase the amount baby gets, and they may gonna be introduced to a proper feed once they're off the breathing support, once they're mature enough to handle this whole sucking and swallowing and breathing pattern. And I would definitely recommend, if you have a premature baby in the hospital, I would definitely recommend to get in touch with the lactation consultant in the hospital if they do have one, or get some help from some other lactation consultants, simply because you really want to get into a proper milk production right at the beginning, even though your baby only needs very, very tiny amounts. It's always much more difficult to increase the amount, to increase the supply later on in the next couple of weeks, other than just increasing it in the early days, in the first couple of days. And I'm pretty sure you will be surprised if you have a premature baby, how quickly they grow and how quickly their input actually increases. So from these one milliliters they have in the beginning, they will kind of quickly increase to 5 ml, 10 ml, and beyond. So yeah, just make sure you're getting into a proper milk production as early as possible. And it's always just best to get some support of a lactation consultant. Yeah, and then, as I said, depending on the maturity, depending on your baby's age and the general health condition, breastfeeding attempts may be possible a little later. Usually around 32, 34 weeks, a baby is able to coordinate the sucking, swallowing, breathing pattern. Some of the premature babies, they are actually able to do this a little earlier, simply because they had a lot of practice with the staff, with the parents. And then it's just a good point to start feeding the baby directly. And I know a lot of hospital policies actually say, yeah, you have to start feeding a bottle first to the baby, and only if baby's able to handle the bottle, then you can start with breastfeeding. Well, it's a hospital policy. So as I said, if you have a good lactation consultant on the hand, discuss how you can actually bring baby directly to the breast, as it's as there's like a lot of different ways, a lot of different options how you can do this safely, without baby choking, without baby being or getting into de-stress. So there's a lot of options, which might be even better than just offering a bottle. So yeah, to kind of sum it all up, what I've just said, I want to give you some positive input at the end. In my career, I've actually seen a lot of babies who were exclusively breastfed by the time they reached their due date or by the time they were able to be discharged of the hospital. And I really know it's a very long journey. There's heaps of ups and downs throughout the journey. It's a real roller coaster ride, but with time and with patience and the right support on the hand, it is definitely possible to have a breastfed baby, even though it's been born prematurely. And I just really want you to know it is possible, to trust in yourself and trust in your baby. Yeah, so let me just check if there's any other questions. Anything else you'd like to know? Any comments to add? I'll just give it another few minutes, just anyone's typing right now. All right. Well, I didn't really go into too much detail about different ways how to breastfeed the baby directly, simply because it's always depending on your personal situation, on baby's health condition, on baby's gestational age, baby's age at the moment. So there's not one way possible. It's always kind of adjusting to this personal situation. So as I said, if you have a premature baby, if you're in need of any support, just get in touch with the lactation consultant of the hospital or get someone else on the hand to help and support you. Yeah, otherwise, if there's no other questions, no comments, I hope you enjoyed today's session. And if you have any questions or if you're in need of any other kind of support, just feel free to get in touch with either myself or my colleagues from the Belly Baby Mom Collective. We're happy to support you. We're here for you. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching today's session, and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.